All right, wanted to get the meeting started here. Again, welcome out to our meeting. My name is Chad, WE7CB, for anybody who may not know me. Noji sends his welcome. He is homesick tonight. So if you were looking for Noji, that's where he's at. He's doing pretty good. I saw him a little while ago. He just didn't want to share all the bad stuff with you. So and I also wanted to thank the great folks here at Sage and Plow for letting us use their room. They treat us so well, and we're extremely grateful for that. So let's give them a big round of applause. All right, and one other announcement I had. This month's lunch bunch is going to meet at the Feast Buffet, the top of the Linden Hill there. That'll be on February 15th at 1 p.m. Is that all right? Yes. Okay, all right. All right, so let's get going here. We'll turn some time over to Carl to talk about events.
You must be sick. You didn't give me advance notice. Hopefully I know the answers to the questions.
That's the down arrow.
Okay, just the down arrow. Oh, okay. Forever. The annual 7-6 barbecue. We always tell you to put it on your calendar. Don't let some lame family reunion beat you to that calendar spot, right?
How about a late birthday?
That works too. Come celebrate with us. We try to move it around a little bit for the first Saturday in June. We don't want it too close to Field Day, and we don't want it too close to Memorial Day and things like that. It's hard to get that date, and so Lynn gets it for us every year. LSH up in Highland, he secures that for us. We'll provide the chicken. We'll have some raffles like we do every year. Noji will bring over the HF equipment, get people on the air that want to get some experience with HF. And it's at Highland Glen Park. There's the lake up there. Come up, have some fun. We're scheduled for a 4-hour block in that pavilion up there. So rain or shine, we'll do it. And we're bringing up the barbecue this year, and we're doing the chicken on site. Yeah, you promised. We're gonna hold you to it. And we'll do the chicken on site this year instead of spending the whole night before getting ready. So anyway, that's a reminder. We put it out there on the 7-Sixers net every single week to remind people. And somebody always says, I didn't hear what the date was sometime in June. I didn't hear about it. Well, get on the 7-Sixers net and you'll hear about all the nets and all the activities every week. And we try to make sure that everybody gets the word. Noji, wow. Somebody might want to look this up because he asked me about this. Well, okay. The 7-6 ice cream social tentatively on for the September the 6th at 1 p.m. We do it at Leatherby's Norm. He asked me if I had a date, and he offered this one up. I said, sure, why not? If we got problems with that date down the road for whatever reasons, we can make those adjustments on the fly. But we'll try and do that for September the 6th. That's always a lot of fun. We always have about what? Linda, we had about 50 people to that thing every year, and it's a lot of fun. So anyway, come join us on that. One more thing I want to say about this. I know that's probably all I got, right? Joe's up next. You said give him a round of applause. They might not have heard that, but thank them on your way out. Pick up some products if you need it, whatever, to help them out here. They, like you said, they've been very kind to us for letting us use this place. And so I know they appreciate us doing any extra business. They close this place at 6. They stay open for us. And so an extra thank you or two doesn't hurt at all. Joe, you're up.
So Winter Day Field Cap, you can see over the years, I'll step up here. 2023, 2024, 2025, looks like we made a whole lot more contacts. Digital, not as many as a couple of years ago. Ralph was killing it in 2025. I think the biggest problem is The bands dropped out about 11 o'clock and didn't come back to like 6:30 in the morning. Yes, Jackson?
The reason why we got more phone contact was because of me. Just wanted to say.
You talk a lot, right? Yeah. No, Jackson and where's Wade at? You moved, Wade. What's your daughter's name? Lola. What is it? Lila. Jackson and Lila were in there just killing it there in the evening. They were tearing it up. All right. Okay, Summerfield Day, Saturday 28 June through Sunday 29 June at Trout Creek location. Same place it always is. So I got a email from the Forest Service today because every year we got to put in for a permit. What's that? I'll move here in a minute. I'll come back here. There we go. Okay. All right. So I got this email from the Forest Service. Hi, your group has been successfully holding your event over the last few years. Thank you for the cleanup and all that you do to minimize the impact to the natural resources. This round, they're going to issue us a 3-year permit. So we're getting a 3-year permit for our location. All we have to do is just let them know when we're holding field day, and that's easy. That's a 4th full weekend in the month of June, so I'm going to send out all to them. So that's a good thing.
So give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah. Yes.
The youth showed up there, and they went up and down the road cleaning up.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff and bags of garbage, and we cleaned up fire pits. And while we were there, you know, because you were there, I was there, and so there was a lot of youth activity doing service projects beyond ham radio there.
And then, if you don't remember, in Saturday afternoon, we had 3 visitors from the Forest Service to come out to see what was going on. My wife, Michelle, took them around because she was the activities coordinator. And some of their comments are hilarious, like, that's real Morse code? People still do that? You know, so they're quite interested. They were quite impressed. We invite them up to the potluck to be at 5 o'clock on Saturday. So what are we doing this year? Last year we did hamburger hot dogs. I think we're doing spaghetti this field day. I haven't really talked to...
I voted for spare ribs.
Only if you provide them. My cows don't have that much meat on them. Okay, so then... And now to Noji announcing, since Noji's not here. Okay, this is the Bridging the Gap Effective Communications in Emergency set for February 22nd at 8 a.m. There's a website up there for registrations. This looks like a big emergency communications type thing. So if you want to go to that, take your picture now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, Gavin is Gavin here.
Hey, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
While you're on that last subject, Dave, aren't you having something out in your neighborhood this weekend?
There's a emergency preparedness fair, but next week we start a class.
But the emergency preparedness fair is where?
And it's right across the street from Ridley's. It's behind Ridley's. Yeah, just behind Ridley's.
Out in Eagle Mountain?
Yeah,
Or-
for breakfast.
Okay. So an emergency preparedness fair behind Ridley's in Eagle Mountain. Eagle Mountain's that place way over there. Okay. So
Also the digital communications conference going on at, I don't know if it's UVARC or
That's up
VHS.
there. That's what advocate for.
what's that?
DCC.
Yeah, the DCC. Was that back one? Let me go back. Let me see. Go back.
That's the DCC right there at the top.
Yeah, there you go. Utah DCC. All right. So,
One of our members is actually going to be presenting there.
what are you presenting, Carl?
I said one of our members is presenting there. He's coming back out from Colorado to present there.
All right. And then since Gavin's not here, Utah County Amateur Radio Emergency Service. They hold their nets on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. Usually I'm in bed by then. You go to ucares.org on how to join. Look for membership. They do have like a qualification program to step you through the program so you become a more valued member.
If you have any questions, I can answer them.
What's that?
If you have any questions, I can answer.
Yeah, there's Keith right there. Keith's part of UCares too. So if you have any questions, talk to the man in the mask. He's not the Long Ranger. And on a personal note, okay, what am I doing? All right, congratulations to these new hams. Anybody's name on this list here? If you are, please stand up. Okay. All right, let's give him a round of applause. And then Marcus, are you here?
Tell us your names. You guys gotta stand up and tell us your names. We gotta get to know you.
I'm Cameron Muir. I'm AK7YSK.
All right. All right. I remember you from testing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's why you look familiar. All right. Okay. Marcus, and let's go back down. Okay. Looks like we didn't have any extras. Come on, get out. We need some more extras. Come on. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to Chad. Or you just want me to give it to
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. World's greatest grandpa.
All right, so thanks for Joe for covering for a lot of guys there. We appreciate that. Now it's time for our presentation. We've got John, WJ7S, who is a financial guy with ARRL, treasurer for the ARRL. We appreciate him coming out here and taking time to let us know what we can do to make the ARRL better. All right, John.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. I set this up with Noji probably about a year ago, and this club is so actively booked, it's taken this long to be able to get to this. I'm John Sager. I'm the treasurer of the ARRL, American Radio Relay League, headquartered in Newington, Connecticut. I live here. I live in Saratoga Springs. And I've got a lot of slides, but I'm going to go through them really fast. So I'd like to have this be a dialogue too, so that if you have questions, just stop me and I'll take them right there as opposed to holding them. Just before we start, this is my QRZ page. You can see I'm pretty active on the air. But I'd like to start by seeing a show of hands. How many in here are members of the ARRL? Okay, good, good. How many of you are former members of the ARRL and have left? Okay, okay. I'm going to gear some of my remarks to you because we've lost membership, and I'm going to be very honest about it. And I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're doing to bring that membership back. And I'll tell you right from the start that my bias is I don't think you can really do a good job of being an active ham without at least finding a way to support the ARRL. Because we do a lot of things that make the hobby better. And if it weren't for the ARRL, we wouldn't have the hobby. And if it weren't for the ARRL, we wouldn't have anything to argue about. So that's where I'm coming from. Just a little bit about me. I live in Saratoga Springs. I'm on the air pretty much every day. I'm mostly a CW guy. I love Morse code. Loved Morse code since I was a little boy. And it's still, I still get the same tingle every time I make a QSO that I did when I was a younger person. Okay, just a little bit about me. Young John, I had an unusual childhood. My family went overseas. My father was a missionary. My family went overseas when I was 10. So I spent a lot of time in Holland and Belgium and Germany. And I was kind of a lonely kid, didn't really fit in with a lot of people. So one of my father's co-workers had left behind an old Zenith Transoceanic. I don't know if anybody knows any of those, but it was a shortwave radio that was about that big, had tubes in it, didn't work. And so as a 10-year-old boy, I took this radio and it became my friend. I had to fix it, had to put some new tubes in it, had to put some new capacitors in it and make it work. But at that time in the 1960s, radio was just a blast because you had all of the pirate stations that were out in the North Sea. And they played stuff that wasn't on the regular radio. And it was kind of a rebel way to be, to listen to this stuff. And I felt like I was, kind of a pirate out on these pirate ships that broadcast these weird signals. And so anyway, I got into it starting there. My career was nothing to do with electronics. I've been a financial guy all my life, high finance, and I've been a professional investor for, since 1976, whatever that would be, 50 years, I guess, next year, that I've been either managing other people's money or managing large financial projects. And so that's kind of another thread. My radio career, I didn't get licensed until fairly later on. The shortwave bands, any of you who are shortwave listeners know that there's not much on the shortwave bands anymore. And so as the shortwave bands got a little more boring, I gravitated to the amateur bands. I already knew Morse code, so I gravitated to amateur radio and to Morse code. And about almost 3 years ago, as I was getting ready to retire, I knew that the person that had been the treasurer of the American Radio Relay League was about to retire, a fellow by the name of Dr. Rick Neiswander, who's an accounting professor in North Carolina, was retiring. He actually took an assignment that took him to Australia and New Zealand for 2 years. And so he stepped down from the treasurership. So I threw my name, when I saw the announcement, I thought, I'm that guy. And threw my name in, went through the interview process, and they selected me. And I have to make it very clear, they don't pay me. I'm a volunteer. I have to go to all of their board meetings. I'm literally their corporate treasurer, even though I live here. I don't have to, only have to go to Connecticut about 4 times a year, and have to be present at all of their meetings. I have to give a quarterly report. It's required in the bylaws. And anyway, that's kind of my role. But I'm a volunteer, so if they fire me, my life doesn't change. So anyway, I'm a member, voting member of the Administration and Finance Committee of ARRL, which is the most powerful committee, I think, that is in the league. We decide how all of the money is spent, where the money goes, how it's invested, how the budget lays out, and what we do on the financial side all runs through the ANF committee. The chairman of the ANF committee is Jeff Ryan, who is, if you're involved in the league, he is the division director for the Rocky Mountain Division, which includes Utah. He's headquartered in Denver. Very good guy. He's been the chairman of ANF for the last 6 years, which is very unusual for anybody to do it longer than maybe a year or two. He's been there 6 years, does a fantastic job, and is a fantastic human being. Some of you probably know him. He comes to Utah quite often and comes to different events. But my job is to invest the league's money and to advise them on anything that they do that has a financial element to it. We have about $39.5 million, which sounds like a lot, but most of that is earmarked for specific items. Only about 16 million of that is money that we have discretion on. And we made a change when I came on board that we hired an external money manager, Cap Trust, located in Raleigh, North Carolina. And they manage the money day to day, but we oversee it with a committee called the Investment Management Committee, which includes me. I'm a chartered financial analyst and have every financial credential that a person can have. We also have 2 other chartered financial analysts that are hams on the IMC, along with a board member and a vice director of the ARRL that meet quarterly to make sure that our funds are invested the way that they should. And I'm also the chairman of the Investment Management Committee. Ham radio, amateur radio, 100+ year old hobby, best hobby on earth. It's given me a lot of personal things. It's given me technical skills, even though I'm not an electrical engineer or a scientist at all. I know enough about radio to send signals all over the world. My passion is to work very low power, and a good day for me is working, Italy on 2 watts from my backyard with a wire in the tree, and I've done that many times, and that's my idea of a good day. So that's who I am. It's given me communication skills. It's given me a love of electronics. It's given me many, many years of fun and many friends all over the world. I would argue that the league, we wouldn't have amateur radio without the league. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But it's the National Association for Amateur Radio. It started in 1914, so we're well over 100 years of continuous operation. Started by a guy by the name of Hiram Percy Maxim. I'll keep going on. Anyway, he's no longer with us, but he's had a tremendous effect on it. He's the guy that invented the silencer for guns and mufflers for cars, and was a brilliant man. The mission of the ARRL is to promote, protect the art, science, and enjoyment of amateur radio, and to develop the next generation of radio amateurs. And it's nice to see younger people represented in the crowd, because that's the future of amateur radio. One of the most important things that the league does is they have a budget of about $400,000 this year that is just spent on keeping the government in our corner and not doing away with radio frequencies and taking them away, because radio frequencies have a tremendous value. And we saw that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the shortwave provision that came up last year, where they were going to use shortwave frequencies for high-speed financial trading. And the league was able to prove that would have an effect on amateur radio communications, particularly on the 20-meter band. And we were able to kill that provision that otherwise would have passed and otherwise would have caused interference on the 20-meter band. So those of you who are active on 20 meters, we have open access to that band because of the effort that the ARRL did. We're involved in, we call that spectrum defense. We do advocacy in local things. We've got a bill in Congress right now to override HOA's ability to tell you can't put up an antenna. And we're gaining sponsors. We're closer than we've ever been. I know that's been something the league's been talking about for 30 or 40 years, but we're closer now than we ever have been. We've got more co-sponsors. We've got people in Congress now that are friendly to amateur radio, and I think we're making progress. And in fact, I just donated some personal money to that effort last week. And it's important. We do a lot of teacher education, the teacher institutes and STEM training. And we've started the collegiate amateur radio program to try to get these younger people involved in the hobby. We got a lot of features that we offer to members. A lot of people think of ARRL as just a magazine subscription, or right now it's 4 magazines. That's not the case. We do a lot more. That's certainly a big part of it, but that's only part of it. We have VEC, we have Logbook of the World, which was down for a good portion of last year, and I'll talk a little bit about what happened there. We had a terrible ransomware attack that was just the worst thing you can imagine. But we have the lab that tests equipment. We support radio clubs. We have the National Traffic System. We have Learning Center, and just it's small print because there's so many things that are on the page. And of course, you've probably seen this slide. If you've ever seen a presentation by ARRL, they talk about public service advocacy, education, technology, and membership. And I won't go into that. We have 4 magazines. They're all available digitally. If you're an ARRL member, you can read all of them. QST is the major one. That's for kind of the general public. On the Air is designed for new people. NCJ is the National Contest Journal. That's for the real geeks that like to do contests, and they're kind of in their own world. I'm one of them, but we're in our own world. And then QEX is the very technical side, the electrical engineer's dream that are available to you. You can get paper copies of one of those or more of those, but it costs you $25 additionally per year. That's a recent change, and that was a change that was widely misunderstood. And we went to that because, I'll talk about it now, I may mention it again later, but we were having months where, specifically during the pandemic, we would have to pay almost $100,000 per month extra from what we'd budgeted just to get paper. And the reason for that is most of the paper supply in the world now goes to one place. Anybody know what that would be? It's called Amazon. It goes into shipping boxes, and you're bidding against Amazon to get newsprint. And it just got to be, it was, in 2023, the league lost about $1.3 million from operations. About $800,000 of that was paper costs that hadn't been budgeted for. So it was a change, and I know a lot of people were upset. There are groups still on the internet that gripe about QST and taking away QST. It's still available to everybody electronically, and if you want it in paper, you can still get it, but it's $25 a year. And anyway, it's not just I already talked about that. We have the Learning Center, and I'm going to go fast because I've got 53 slides, so I'm going to try to keep up with that. We have the On the Air, equipment testing, product reviews, e-newsletters. You can sign up to get a weekly newsletter that's pretty good. Services, they've got the lab, and that's fun. You can, if you're ever at the lab or you go to Dayton or any conference and the lab's there, they'll test your equipment right on site. Give you a sticker to put on the back, tell you that it's good, or if it's not good, they can tell you how to fix it. You can get free license modifications, renewals, got an outgoing QSL service. That may change because some of those are consuming a lot more money than we would like to see. LOTW is back. DXCC is back. If any of you are in the queue for the DXCC, that's back. You can have a cool ARRL email address, and of course they sponsor, Field Day and many other things throughout the year. And you can get members-only pricing on ARRL swag. $2,500, and we support youth. We have the league does amateur radio in the International Space Station. They're very supportive of that. They've done that in connection with a lot of our teachers' institutes, and it's been very popular. One of them was featured about 3 or 4 months ago on the Today Show, where they had a school in New Jersey that made contact with the International Space Station.
It happened here about 6 months ago from a student in one of the high schools.
Uh-huh.
I had the whole everybody in the school was there, and he made contact with the ISS as it went over. It was on the news here too.
Is that right? No, that's cool. I didn't see that, but it's life changing for young people. I mean, it's just, you see their eyes light up, and it's incredible. We do a lot of scholarships. The league also has a foundation that has about $8 million. They get a lot of money from the ARDC, which is a group that sold a bunch of URLs for amateur radio and made a lot of money, and they support radio causes. They always support us, and we use that money for scholarships. And I've got a slide coming up later on about that.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
Bear repeating since we've got some youth here about scholarships. I know my daughter applied for one, and maybe was the sole reason she got her license. So
Uh-huh.
they only award those, by my understanding, they only award those scholarships to licensed
amateurs. You listening, Jackson?
Back here if you want to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, you stand out as a radio amateur, and if you're coming up, you play the right cards, and your ticket's punched, man. So pay attention, because it's and I'm sure that's probably on your future plans, but if it isn't, it should be. So yeah, absolutely, and you can get insurance for your station. I mean, there are just lots of them, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but it's on the ARRL.org website. You can go into any detail that you want. Okay, leadership, we talked about advocacy. Some of these are repeats. I merged a bunch of things. This is the shortwave modification initiative. It was very cleverly disguised. They made the claim that, there's not going to be any interference on any amateur bands. And Ed Hare from the ARRL lab, it was able to do a study, and it basically killed it dead. And what it does is they use, just incredible equipment, but it gives them like a millisecond of advantage over phone lines and other cell lines by going over amateur radio. So in the financial markets, everything moves at incredible speed anyway, but if you can get that, 1 microsecond head start, it can be many, many thousands of dollars. And every time you do a trade, if you're ahead of the group, and that was what they were trying to do, but we were able to stop them for now. But who knows in the future? We're always fighting those kind of things. We've got the regulations on antenna monitoring, regulation and zoning. We're working on that. We're hopeful to make some progress there. A lot of that is becoming not as important as it was because of remote stations and portable operation, but it's still important to have that in an emergency situation when everything else fails, to have the ability to communicate using amateur radio frequencies. Again, let's see, we're here to help you. If you have a technical question, you can call a hotline. If you're going overseas and you want to get an overseas license, they can help you. And here's what I wanted to talk about. This is just published, and actually that 2025 number is still kind of confidential, but it shows you the problem that we have. We've dropped from about 150,000 members to 137,000 members over a 2-year period. The average age of amateur radio is about 70. In fact, if you look around the room, we kind of validate some of that point, although this is a younger crowd than what I usually see. Only about 20% of hams are members of the ARRL, and we're trying to change that. And we're hopeful that we can. In fact, one of the interesting things too about Utah is Utah has a very high concentration of amateur radio operators. And in fact, I think I've heard it from a couple of sources that Utah has more hams per capita than any other state. However, guess which state in the United States has the lowest percentage of amateur radio operators? It's Utah. And it's I've had people from the league ask me about that, and I say, well, people get involved because in some cases it's a church assignment, and other cases, they're people that think ahead, they want to be prepared, but they're not joiners typically. But I'm here to say that I'm glad I'm a member. I've been a member of ARRL since I was licensed, and I would encourage you to think about it. And in fact, if you want to sign up today, I've got a deal you can't refuse. So anyway, we'll talk about that more. But we'd like to get more amateur radio and ARRL members in the state of Utah. It's one reason why I wanted to do this. Okay, what does it all mean? We're not connecting as well as we should. People don't often see the value in having an ARRL membership. There's, like I say, it's nothing to argue about. If there are a lot of groups on social media that are just there to basically gripe and bitch about ARRL. And some of you may have seen them. One of them's My ARRL Voice. I'm a member of CW Ops, which is a club for Morse code geeks. And their forum over the last year, for a large portion of the year, became a place to gripe about the ARRL, which, in fact, it was kind of funny, there were even some things about the ARRL isn't getting a good return on their money. And it's like, what? And they don't even realize that I'm the treasurer, I'm doing this, and I'm reading this forum. And one guy was saying they only got like 4% return on their money. Well, that 4% was for the first quarter of last year. And for the year, we had 20%. And it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just, it's from the market, 4% of the total. If you have $10 million, you make $400,000 in earnings. 4% of the total.
Earnings?
We make earnings. Yeah. In fact, if it weren't for the money we invested,
That's 4%
we were gonna,
better than I expected.
yeah. You're just messing with me. I know. Okay. But anyway, things like that, just stupid stuff. But I avoided the temptation to weigh in and say, no, we had a 20% return. So on our $39 million, I can't remember what the number was. We earned let's say $3 million on our investments, which goes into programs and to support the league. The league loses money operationally, and so we end up supporting it from the endowment every year. But anyway, there's always room for volunteers, and if you don't like the way things are going, get involved. Run for, division director, section manager. Run for treasurer. Everybody always has ideas. We try to be open, and we want to make sure that people understand that there's a value to the ARRL. Okay, the good news. We have a new CEO since 2019, David Minster, NA2AA. David is a very passionate amateur radio operator. He's a very deep thinker. He's not one to take anybody's crap though. And I think that's rubbed some people the wrong way. But David is very effective and is a brilliant man and innovative. And regardless of what you read about David, David is a wonderful person to have in that spot. And he's done great work. And particularly, we had a ransomware attack that I'll talk a little bit more about. David was a lifesaver during the ransomware, the recovery from that attack. We have a very strong board. We have our characters. We have, it's a 15-member board, and they don't always see eye to eye. And there's oftentimes, it's like Congress, where we have some pretty strong debates, but they usually get to the right place and are very passionate and very strong supporters of the hobby and the league. Very active amateurs, and they're not afraid to take the right thing, the right stance, and the unpopular stance. And so, very good. It's a very wonderful group. Things are looking up. They're better. I've been treasurer I'm going on my 4th year, and things are better than they have been in the past 3 years when I've been there. We still have our characters. We still have some pretty knockdown, drag-out fights, but we get to the right place. We've developed a plan to try to put the league on a sound footing going forward. We're pulling out all of the stops to get younger people, developing plans for new products and services. Yeah, I know some of you have seen some of the products we've come out with. We came out with a balun and an antenna kit that gets people soldering for the first time. We just started offering a 10-meter beam, 10-meter and 6-meter beam that's made by Momo Beams in Italy. We offer it at a special price. We're getting involved in other things that help people get on the air for the first time and actually experience the joy of making a contact, on the air. Oh, and we're exploring things like involving people that we always used to look down on, the GMRS people and even CB people. We try to, that's a gateway drug to get into amateur radio. And we'd like to see them come to the ARRL. So we're doing a lot of things digitally, a lot of YouTube material. If you want to, get online, look at W1DED stuff. Does great stuff. Dave Kassler, KE0OG, any Augies out here? He's popular. Yeah. David does a lot of stuff for the league, and it's good stuff for people. It's the way you learn, and I wish we had YouTube, 30 or 40 years ago, but you can get really smart by getting on that. More good news. We've done, Volunteer on the Year during 2023. There were probably more QSOs made in 2023 than any year in amateur radio history, just because of that. We've got a clean signal initiative where we're working with the lab is working with manufacturers to make sure that the equipment that they're putting out doesn't put out bad signals, and make sure they comply with what they say they're going to do. And that's been very effective. We're getting a lot of cooperation from the Big Four and Elecraft and others. And I think it's made a difference. Teachers Institute, that's been a big focus. And they bring people back to Connecticut that are teachers. They take them through a class, and they use amateur radio to teach science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's been very effective. We've had hundreds of people that have been licensed from that. And they find that their rate of licensing people is 95%. 95% of the people that go through that end up with an amateur radio license and do things like getting on with the space station in their classrooms. And it puts a whole new spin on technology. You do it, you get your hands dirty. We've got the National Traffic Service. I don't know if anybody, I'm involved in national traffic passing. I do a Morse code, usually at 7:45 every night on 80 meters where we pass traffic. There's no real traffic to pass, but it's a relic from way back when. The league, in fact, the relay in the American Radio Relay League started with passing message traffic around the United States. And people still do it, people like me. And there's not much traffic. Usually it's, happy birthday or congratulations on getting a new license, but they still do it. And we prove the effectiveness of amateur radio passing messages all over the country. And it's fun. It's a good way to, it's a waste of time, but it's a good way to see where your signal's going. And it teaches you a lot, and it's fun. More good news. We were elected to SAFECOM. We're getting money from ARDC every year to fund scholarships, club grants, equipment grants for school. Yeah, no USAID. We're not involved in that. No, that's outside of our realm. Our money actually goes to good causes. We represented amateur radio at WRC 23. We're having a general assembly for IARU. I'm also the assistant treasurer for IARU, the International Amateur Radio Union. We're in Region 2. The world's divided into 3 amateur radio unions. We're in 2. The United States, Mexico, Canada, and South America are in 2. We're having a general assembly later this year. I think it's going to be in Brazil, but we'll be representing American amateur radio on a worldwide level at the IARU General Assembly later this year. Looking forward to that. BE participation, over 7,500 sessions, free of charge. We have a reduced licensing fee, grant program where we can pick up part of the cost of the license fee. By the way, if you're under 21, you can join the league for free. So I want everybody to go home, and if you know somebody in your family, get them to join. They can do it for free. If you're under 25 or 6, there's a slide coming, but it's under 25 or 26, you can join at a reduced rate. We're desperate to get younger people involved in the hobby. And that's one way that we're doing that. The board, we're not a radio club. We're a nonprofit corporation subject to Connecticut state law. We're involved for policy and strategy. We're all volunteers. The chief executive officer reports to us. They're legally bound to fulfill fiduciary duties, and I'll just go through these quickly. We're not supposed to do stupid stuff, is basically what that involves. We would act like an intelligent person would act in the same situation, and that's basically the rule. We need to be loyal. That's been a problem with some of our directors in the past. Duties to be obedient to applicable laws. We can't go out and commit felonies. We need to be confidential. We have meetings that are in person typically because we've had problems with leaks of directors in the past. Nobody currently, but in the past that have actually leaked information to some of these websites, and we're trying to avoid that. Right now, our officers, we have Rick Roderick, K5UR, who is probably the best amateur radio ambassador. Actually, his wife, Holly, is the best ambassador, but he goes along with Holly and represents the hobby very well. If you've been to any national conference, you'll see Rick at that conference. Kristen is one of the, she's one of the designers of the Apple iPhone. Very, an executive and brilliant person, MIT grad, brilliant person who's just elected last year, January of last year, as first vice president. Mike Ritz is a retired software engineer, Silicon Valley, now lives in Scappoose, Oregon, but he's the second vice president, has a huge mega station in the Oregon forest. Rod Stafford, our legal international affairs, he's a retired judge, California, and has a very strong legal background, great guy. And then that guy on the right is another guy. What's that? It is, and it's actually about 4 years ago. but the aspect ratio is a little bit off. Just makes me look a little better nourished than I am now. But anyway, we have 15 geographic divisions. You're in the Rocky Mountain Division. Jeff Ryan is your director. And as I say, there's not a finer person in the amateur radio hobby than Jeff. And you can see all of the divisions. They represent different areas. Some are smaller, some are larger. The Southeastern Division is about 10 times as large as the Dakota Division. And Rocky Mountain's one of the larger divisions. And anyway, it's each one has an election. There's 5 directors that are elected every year. So of the 15, 1/3 of them are stand for election every 3rd year. And we had an interesting election this year because we had to actually, and this was a big topic on the internet forums. We had 5 elections. We had 3 candidates disqualified. And boy, did they squeal about it. And what happened with one of them, and I'll just deal with this quickly and hopefully never have to deal with it again. One of them was running in the Roanoke Division, which is Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. He has a home. He has 2 homes. His home that he was claiming is in Virginia, but he spends most of the year in Florida and has 2 residences. And his residence for tax purposes is in Florida, but he ran in the Roanoke Division, and we disqualified him, and he squealed bloody murder because that's what the bylaws say. Okay? That was people are saying, oh, the world's coming to an end because of that. No, he ran outside the rules and was disqualified. We had another director who's been a director in the past from New England. And he ran against a very popular director. In fact, there were 2 candidates running against the New England director this year. One of them submitted an incomplete application, and he's a lawyer besides. And we have very strict requirements about what constitutes a good application. Well, his wasn't complete. He realized the problem about 30 minutes after the deadline to submit final applications. We can't do anything about it. I mean, we tried to contact him, left him a voicemail. He didn't get the voicemail in time to rectify the situation, was 30 minutes late, didn't have a complete application, so he was disqualified. Squealed bloody murder. And no, not yet, no. In fact, he's very cooperative, and like I say, he's a good guy, but he wanted special treatment. He didn't get it. And actually, another fellow who was also a former director ended up beating the incumbent, and so he was elected. So we have a new board member in the New England division. Yes.
Right here.
Oh, okay. Yes. Hi.
How are these divisions divided up? By the population?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it states in the bylaws that like it's by state line. So like.
We got Idaho cut in half there, so.
And California's cut out.
No, Idaho's right. It's all one state. Yeah, Idaho's all in Northwest. Yeah. In fact, I moved here from Idaho, and it was the North region.
Yeah, California's cut.
Oh, yes, California. That's true. The northern, its Pacific Division is Northern California, and also Hawaii, and Southwestern Division is Southern California. So yeah, it's for the most part, but yes. And like say, some of them are very small. Like I say, Dakota Division, just to give you an idea, I think it's less than 1,000, where the Southeastern Division is something like 14,000. So, yeah, and there's been some talk. In fact, I can, if you won't tell anybody outside this room, there's an effort going on to look at the governance of the league and to possibly realign the districts and make them more so that they're equal in membership. But there's a lot of resistance from the larger membership divisions to take membership away.
So is the population of hams, population of
Population of members.
Of members?
Yes, ARRL members.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because no, it's the population would be much larger. Population of hams would be much larger too, but anyway, yeah, it's interesting. There was an election in the Hudson Division, which you can't see on. Oh, it's small, and we had a candidate there who made a number of incorrect statements, and he wasn't disqualified, but he ended up getting beat pretty soundly. And then in the Northwestern Division, they had a very popular guy. I don't know if anybody here participates in Rat Pack, but there's a guy in Idaho, K7REX, Dan Marler, who's the Idaho section manager. He actually ran, and a lot of his campaign was based on some false claims that he made, and that's a violation of another bylaw. Anyway, they talked to him about it, and he said, "Okay, I'll change it." And so anyway, but a day later, he came out with the same false information again, and so he was disqualified. So a lot of people are still licking their wounds over the last year's election, but we went by the bylaws, and that's very important. That's enough about that. Division director, they're volunteers, just like I am. The CFO or CEO reports to the division directors. The section managers, Utah. In fact, Utah just got a new section manager. Some of you know Pat Malin. He's having some health issues. He stepped down, and Brett Pruitt from Southern Utah is the new section manager, K7 BDP. In fact, he may be watching tonight. I know he was going to try to tune in. But they do a lot. They're very important to support the league, but they don't report to the division directors. They're a separate group that they report through the field organization of the league. And there's a fellow in Newington, Connecticut, by the name of Josh Johnston, that works with all of the section managers. With a lot of committees, we have an executive committee that meets, takes care of league business between meetings. They do a lot of other stuff. We have administration and finance. As I say, that's probably where the money is and where a good deal of the power is. We have emergency communications, field services, programs. We have an ethics and elections committee, which has been very controversial. They're the ones that say whether we're following the bylaws or not. And of course, if they do anything that's the least bit questionable, it's all over the internet. And we have a historical committee that does some amazing things as well.
John?
Yes.
5 minutes left.
Okay, I'll hurry. We have a foundation, about $8 million for scholarships, $709,500. Jackson, are you listening? In 2024. A lot of that's funded from money we get from the ERDC. We have $150,000 set aside for conventions that are struggling. You can apply for a club grant if you have a convention. And one that's brought up quite a bit is the Yuma Ham Fest, which is really struggling. It's become very expensive to put it on, but they can apply for a grant to get that done. Oops, I didn't want that. They have about 8 million assets. We had a lot of furor, and I'll cut to the chase here. We had a lot of furor and a lot of chatter on the net about changing our bylaws. There's bylaw 46, which deals with director conduct. We have bylaw 42. In fact, let me move slides here really quick. We have bylaw 46, 42, which we've been struggling with for the last couple of years, that our council tells us we have to have in order to be in good standing. People have misinterpreted it to think that it's just a way of controlling who's on the board of directors. That's not it at all. It's a statement where if we have a person that goes out and commits a felony, we have a way to take care of that. And it's through the Ethics and Election Committee. We have a bylaw 42 where we've made some revisions that governs how the Ethics and Elections Committee actually runs. That's been very controversial. We took that up at our meeting 2 weeks ago and decided that it needed a little bit more work, so it'll come up again in July. So we deferred on that. We did make revisions, and I got a lot of stuff on this, but I'll just pass through. We did pass bylaw 18. Well, I skipped over it. Bylaw 18 deals with how elections are tallied, how election results are tallied. We actually use an outside entity to tabulate the ballots. And we have a member of the Ethics and Election and Ethics Committee actually sit where the ballots are counted and make sure that it's a fair process. We also made changes to bylaw 18. Anyway, we made changes to that, which I won't go into, but they're minor changes, and I think they're for the good of the organization. Bad news, we had operating losses, and that's probably likely to continue in the future. We have our endowment, though, where we can use the earnings to prop up the league. We've also had some very generous donors that have ponied up to give money to the league. In fact, this last year, 2024, the Diamond Club, which is this little badge I'm wearing, we actually had more Diamond Club contributions than any time in our history. including mine. So, you know, people are still stepping up that recognize the value of the league. Most of the money that we have is restricted. We can't run on deficits forever, so we're trying to, you know, to rectify that. We went through a dues increase, as I mentioned. It's largely because of paper costs and you know, labor costs, every cost. And you know, if any of you in this room, besides me, had a CQ magazine subscription, you know it went away. And they were charging $42.95 for a print magazine, another $30 for digital access, and they couldn't even make it on that amount of money. And dues haven't kept up. We're going to look at dues increases probably every 2 years from now. We just did one last year. Annual dues are $59. Our if you want a print magazine, it's $25 extra. And let's see, you get access to all 4 magazines. If you're a Maxim member, if you've given lifetime donations of over $10,000, they send it to you for free. You can buy subscriptions to the paper copies, $25 a year. And they're valuable. I enjoy reading them. I love when I get a QST or On the Air. I read them cover to cover. Let's see. I wanted to, just in the time I have left, wanted to talk a little bit about the ransomware attack. Back last May, in fact, it was the day that a lot of us were on our way to Dayton, to the Dayton Hamvention in Dayton, Ohio. The Wednesday before the Dayton Hamvention is when these guys struck. And it was a group out of Russia that basically shut down all of the computers at the league. I mean, shut them down cold. In fact, we're still recovering some of the systems that we lost in May of 2024. We've had to reconstruct our complete financial program. A logbook of the world was down. Any of those of you who used that, and it was ugly. I mean, we were able to retrieve the database, rebuild it, but it was a mess. DXCC, which is a 100-country application, that was offline for 4 or 5 months. We couldn't process membership applications for 5 months. We couldn't contact our members, and things just basically, you know, went to heck. Things went south, and we're still recovering from that. But you know, the good news is most of that is behind us. We've made good progress on following up with that. Another good thing is you can get a full student membership under age 26 for $30 a year, including access to the magazines. If you're under 21 or you know anyone that's under 21, sign them up, because they get the benefits of the membership for free. And hopefully we'll do that with the idea that they'll enjoy the magazines, they'll enjoy being a part of the league, and stay on as they become adults. Talked about bashing. There's been a lot of accusations of we have a shadow board, a board that meets without the malcontents. That's not true from what I've seen. And we're striving for as much transparency as we can possibly have. I talked about the division director election results. We want to keep HamFest alive. There's a value to getting people together and talking about the hobby, and we're doing what we can for that. And with that, I'll say 7-3. If you want to contact me, you've got my email there. I can hand out cards. I've got some prizes to be drawn at the end, but I'll finish my formal remarks here. Do you have time to take any questions at all, or chat? Sure. I see a couple of hands. Let's okay, right here, and I'll go to you next. Yes, go ahead.
It has to do with the QST.
Yes.
Some of us paid up our memberships a long time ago, and you quit sending us the paper copy.
Yep.
Now I just got the February paper copy.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to continue to get this copy?
Did you request getting it, or?
I requested it about 4 or 5 years ago when I paid up.
Okay, here's
2027.
Okay, here's what I know. we knew that people that were like 6 months into a 3-year membership would not get the paper copies. We made it available for them to request a refund of the unpaid amount of their subscription. So you could have contacted the league and they would have refunded you the amount that constituted the cost of the magazines you didn't get. If you requested that they continue it, you're not a life member, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. If you're a life member, you can continue to receive them. If you're not a life member, it was supposed to cut off unless you requested it to continue and paid the $25. So what I would do is I would call the league office and say, either I want it or I want a refund of the money that I paid that I didn't get my magazine for. Does that make sense?
Are they gonna, did they print the magazine the whole time?
Yes.
They signed a contract with me when they accepted my money.
I know.
That's why I should have 12 more issues between this one and this one.
Right, and we looked at that. In fact, in retrospect, that was probably a bad decision by the league because we calculated it out, and the cost of continuing the magazines for the 3-year period for people that bought 3-year subscriptions was $1.7 million. And at the time, that $1.7 million was a deal breaker. Now it's not as much, but at the time it was a deal breaker. And we said, no, we've got to draw the line. But you can call the league and they should give you a refund if you haven't gotten your magazine.
Okay.
In fact, I'll give you a card, drop my name.
All right. I have another couple of things real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, we have a new section manager, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
But he was appointed.
Mm-hmm.
How did he get appointed?
That's a good question. I wasn't involved in that.
Okay, because supposedly, according to the February QST,
Mm-hmm.
we have an election coming up, and he can be replaced or not.
Okay, I believe that there will be an election, and it's just an interim appointment because Pat stepped down, and I think they needed somebody to step in very quickly. But I'm not involved typically in that kind of stuff.
The other thing is, we have a division manager
Mhm.
that's up for re-election soon too.
Yep.
This time.
Yep, yeah, Jeff.
My other question is, how do we get information on what these guys are doing for us? Because I have had squat from the division, the section manager, or the division
Okay.
manager at all.
Okay, what I would
Last 3 or 4 years.
What I would do is I would email Jeff directly. You got, in fact, in your QST, you've got his email address, but I'll give you my card and say I see Jeff all the time. Jeff's a stand-up guy. I would email him and email me and I'll forward it to Jeff.
Okay.
If you don't get any response. I'll be back in the back here.
These people who are applying for the positions of extreme and bloody murder, these are all voluntary, non-paid. What's the attraction that made them so upset that they didn't get it?
I'll tell you, it's
That screams of corruption to me.
Really? No, it's there's kind of a geek society of being on the board, and you get to rub shoulders with some very very smart people that are right at the nerve center of amateur radio, and there's an ego boost that comes from that, and a lot of these guys take it seriously. We still have old members that come to our board meetings and still sit in for 2 days at a time and just sit in the back. They can't vote, and there are times that they're asked to leave the room, but they still come. And so there's an ego thing to it. It'd be hard to be corrupt. I mean, I see the money, and if anybody was going to be corrupt, it'd be me, but I can't do it.
Well,
So
no, I'm just thinking that, why are they so upset? I didn't think about the status.
they have followings, and the one guy I was talking about that has the house in Florida, he has a big following, and he's a retired FCC lawyer, and he's got a good big group of followers, and they make a lot of noise. it's an interesting group.
You know, the question is, what's in it for them? And I can understand ego and status and
Yeah.
and that sort of thing, but
Well,
there's no money
they-
involved, there's no power.
There's no money. They pay my expenses to go travel, and that's no big deal. I mean, I probably spend 10 hours a week on league business, and the only thing I get out of is 4 plane tickets a year to Connecticut. And in January, do you want to go to Connecticut in January or July? Yeah. Anyway, thank you, everybody.
I know you've got more questions for John.
And I'll stay after.
On time, and we've got a lot of stuff to give away.
Okay.
So catch up with him after the meeting, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer those for you. So thanks to John. We do appreciate him letting us know the state of the league, and hopefully you've all come to a decision to join.
And if you want to, I've got applications you can join or renew, and I've got on the air that's specifically designed for new members, and some other swag too. And then I've got some giveaway prizes later on.
Okay.
Discount if we join tonight?
No. Sorry.
All right, so let's get on to our door prizes. Brent is not here tonight, so filling in. Does anybody else need a ticket? Everybody got a ticket? Here's some of the things that we're giving away. We've got the Pockers J-pole like we always do. We've got a Baofeng transceiver, a ARRL membership, courtesy of the club, a flashlight, a power supply that some of you may recognize. This is the one I repaired at our DIY night a couple of months ago.
12 or 24?
Amps.
Volts.
12 volts, 23 amps.
Sweet.
So it'll run just about any radio you want. It's actually like 14. Sorry, that's my wife calling from Ecuador.
I've got some books.
And some books here. So we're going to do these quick. If your number's called, come up here, grab your stuff quick. Because we're about out, well, we are out of time, but okay.
087.
087.
What are the chances?
Okay, draw the next number.
Okay.
You don't get your prize.
Either. Maybe the, I don't know, whatever you want to get. 066.
Oh, that's me.
What are the chances?
All right,
Okay,
Jackson.
I don't know which one.
Next one.
078.
And just to verify that, 066.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shake up that bucket a little bit.
Okay, next one.
Yeah, I'm coming. 086.
086. Let's put these up there too. These are the.
Okay, I've got this. This should probably go together. And
Okay.
The other two books, and then I've got a $50.
Okay,
$50 what? Ooh, I
so
got
$50 coupon for a.
For the ARRL store.
For the store. Okay. A couple of books here if you're interested.
And the one is an extra upgrade, so
Oh.
somebody that, you probably should go to somebody that is sure they're gonna upgrade to extra.
I got like all of those.
Yeah, anything up here?
Okay.
That is for.
114.
Yeah, that's would work on a Baofeng.
ED taker?
No, actually, actually that is the ASU.
The AC? Alright, cool. That's what I got. Sweet.
J-pole to go with your new radio.
Oh my God, J-pole.
Next one.
113.
113.
Shaking up.
Come on up.
Yeah.
That's his.
That looks like a good book.
Yeah.
Next one.
We'll go with that one too.
Crap out now. 064?
064.
Not right. Wait, crap, where'd it go?
That's okay.
It was the ripped one, yeah. Yeah.
Next. You'll have to wait for him to pick it up. He's already up there.
I'm sorry. 098.
098.
Whatever you want to get. If you're gonna get your ham radio, I'd recommend that.
Yep.
So yeah, 098. Any takers?
He's coming.
You're so like me.
Okay. 119.
119.
This is, I can take this one?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a book set and a flashlight left.
119?
I'm trying.
We got the light and the books left. So this is an extra upgrade.
Okay. And both of them
Yeah,
come
they
together?
go together.
077.
077. You get the light.
Okay, Ty, have some food for you.
All right. Thanks for getting through that quick, guys. We're going to JCW's after this meeting. For all those that you want to put on a couple of pounds like me, we'll see you there. And again, a lot of thanks to the folks here at Sage and Plow. I'll let them know you appreciate it on your way out. And we'll see you next month. Thanks for coming out.